Welcome everybody to San Francisco Zine Fest Cyberfest. This is our event that's taking place September 6th through the 26th. And for more details on Cyberfest, you can always check out sfzinefest.org. Tonight we are having show and tell for Group H. This is our 8th show and tell session. It's very exciting. They are all so amazing, and I am excited for everybody here to just share all of their work with you. Before we get to that, though, we have a little bit of housekeeping. So to let you know what to expect, first off, I'm going to talk a little bit about Zine Fest, a little bit about Cyberfest, go over our house rules and expectations. Then for a few minutes, our exhibitors are all going to go into a breakout room and chat for a little bit, get comfortable, work out all of the nerves. And I will talk to you, don't worry, it won't just be my face for 3 minutes. I mean, it will, but I'll be talking. And then we will have time for the exhibitors to each present their work. And we may have some time for some closing questions from exhibitors and viewers. If you have questions, you can type them into the live chats on Facebook and YouTube Live. And then we'll close out with some details of things that you can look forward to. So first off, San Francisco Zine Fest was founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. Typically held as a one-day event at the County Fair Building in Golden Gate Park, our 2019 festival had about 240 exhibitors and over 5,000 attendees. But due to COVID-19, our 2020 festival is going 100% virtual. That is what you're watching right now. What is Cyberfest? We have 3 weeks of online programming. We've been having these exhibitor show and tells, readings, workshops, demos, interviews, and because it is 3 weeks long, we have 3 guests of honor. Our guest of honor for our first week was Alex L. Combs. This week, we are in week 2, and our guest of honor is Death P. Sun. And next week, week 3, our guest of honor will be Tana Tucker. And I just want to read off our Safer Spaces policy just so that everybody knows what to expect. We are committed to providing a harassment-free environment for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity, expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at SFZF events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any SF Zine Fest organizer. So we ask that everyone respect people's opinions, beliefs, differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Be aware, chat, screenshots, things all exist online. Just be aware of boundaries. Be responsible for your actions and aware that they may have an effect on others regardless of your original intent. And remember that a safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. Guidelines for Zoom, we ask that everyone keep their video off unless they are actively presenting. It'll prevent video lag, which is helpful. And keep yourself on mute unless you are presenting. And if you're in the Zoom and you have a question, you can feel free to ask in the chat. There are chat moderators and people who will bring things to our attention. Each artist is going to have 4 minutes to share their work, and they may use that 4 minutes however they would like. And you can compliment each other in the chat or just say hello. There's been a lot of fun stuff happening in the Zoom chat, and it's really awesome and great. Be mindful for folks who are blind or visually impaired by being specific and descriptive when sharing your work. You know, we're all on Zoom. We all like to hold things up to the camera. It's just extra helpful to have that extra layer of explaining what it is that people are looking at. This Zoom session is being recorded and broadcast to Facebook and YouTube, so just be aware of that when you turn your cameras on. And above all, please be respectful. All right, so we're going to have our exhibitors go into breakout rooms for a moment. Basically, it'll be a private small group meeting, just a way for the exhibitors to introduce themselves to each other, say hi to each other. A lot of our exhibitors today know each other, but it's nice to say hi in a quiet space for a few minutes. You'll have about 3 minutes before everybody comes back into the main room. And, you know, you can chat about whatever you want, but I have a prompt if you want it. What is something surprising that you have learned from a zine? So I am opening up the breakout rooms for the exhibitors, and I'm just going to time myself so that I know how long that they've been in there. And while they are all in there, I am going to talk a little bit about some zines that I really like. As you might imagine from my question, I'm very into zines that are somehow instructional and that teach you something. A lot of times I like zines that are about like science or history. This is from an exhibitor who wasn't able to come to their show and tell, and so I want to show one of their zines. This is Amy Wabowo, who often exhibits under the name Bubble Sort Zines. And this zine is called How Does the Internet? With a lovely computer and keyboard. And you can see it's really adorable. She did not actually color this. I got bored at work one day and had access to highlighters, and this happened. But what I love about this zine, and actually all of the Bubble Sort zines, is that they talk about technology in this really accessible, really sweet way. So this one talks about, you know, how it is that you're watching this video right now. And it talks about how, you know, a lot about the history of these machines and how hardware interacts with software. And it's made to be really accessible to children. But if you're an adult and you want to learn things like how the internet works, or how calculators work, or what a bubble sort is, I highly, highly recommend checking out Bubble Sort zines and all of Amy Wabowo's work. It's fantastic. It's adorable. Less adorable. I have this one by Fred Nolan. This is called Infallible. And you can see a very gross looking Pope on the cover. And this is because the zine is about the rather grotesque history of various Catholic popes. It is not for children. And Fred Nolan has some other great historical zines. He has one called Major Taylor World Champion that's about a Black champion cyclist at the turn of the 20th century. Just like a lot of fun stuff. You know, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you can learn from zines, from fiction, from people sharing their individual experiences, but I also love these like very deliberately educational zines too. They make me very, very happy. I really like these Andy Werner, who does a lot of stuff at the Nib, has a lot of history zines and a lot of very journalistic zines. This one is about the discovery of the SS Central America after it sank. And yeah, I definitely, if you check out the journalism comics at thenib.com, they have, you know, lots of fantastic comics. But if you're particularly interested in just like fun, adventure-y historical comics, Andy Werner's got a lot of fantastic stuff. And people are still in their breakout rooms. This is great. Sometimes people try to duck out early, and I hope this means that people are having fun just chit-chatting and getting a chance to say hello to each other. They are going to close very shortly. People are going to come back in. Hi all, welcome back. All right. I hope you guys got a chance to sort of shake out, say hello. I am going to share my screen again. And just to let everyone know what to expect when you're presenting. One thing that we like is for people to just say their name and their pronouns. Tell us where you're based. Are you in the Bay Area? Are you somewhere else? Tell us a little bit about yourself and show us your work. Maybe read something from your zines or comics if that's something that you're interested in doing. And this is going to be the presenting order for tonight. And so first off, we have 8 Rock Press. So Ajuan, if you could turn on your video. you are going to be our first presenter.
All right. Hello, I'm Ajuan Mance, and I publish my zines under the heading 8 Rock Press, and I'm excited to be here with meeting new people and new zine makers, and also some folks who I've known for a while, so it's really awesome. And I first just want to, I only have a short time, so I just want to talk a little bit about my work. I use a lot of humor, and I like to use odd color combinations and bright color combinations to explore the intersections of race and gender and their complexity. In 21st century society, I do some illustration. I did a series of 1001 portraits of Black men. I love doing portrait series, particularly about Black people. Most recently, follow me on Instagram. If you go to ajuanmance.com, that's my website, and you can find some of my comics there. You can find some of my zine content there, and you can also see some of my more recent work. I've been doing a series of portraits of Black people doing things for which Black folks have been arrested or harassed by police or vigilantes. So that's going to be a zine that's going to come up hopefully in time for East Bay Zine Fest later on. And then I'll have a lot more drawings by the time SF Zine Fest rolls around next year. Hopefully we'll all be able to be in person. And I also do a comic series called, oh, thank you. Oh, thanks. I do a comic series called Gender Studies, which explores what it is to be kind of a Black nerd exploring and living sometimes at the edges of gender and frankly at the edges of the line between nerd and not nerd. I also most recently have started trying to do a web series of comics. It's called Check All That Apply, and it's called Black Nerd Stories. That's the subtitle. And it's trying my hand at the 3-panel comics, which is a really interesting, almost a science of how you can tell a mini story in just 3 panels. And so if you go to ajuanmance.com, you'll be able to click through and take a look at Check All That Apply. Also, you'll be able to look at a couple of issues of gender studies, which will at some point sooner than later be a collection. And I'll be sure to keep my Instagram and my Twitter updated about when that comes to pass. And then the last thing I want to do is share with you some of the places where you can find my illustrations and my comics most recently. We had the pleasure of launching after a delay. Our book was supposed to come out in March, but we just released it in August. It's called Menopause, a Comic Treatment, and it came from Penn State University Press. There's some comics that'll make you really laugh out loud, probably cringe a little bit. Mine might do a little bit of both. And I have a comic in this collection. There's a lot of my favorite comic creators have amazing work in this collection. And so pick it up if you have the chance. There's a really cool book that I think is perfect for election year, and it's called She Votes. And I did not write this book, but I'm one of the 100 women artists and illustrators who has a drawing in the book. And so if you have a chance, especially if you know a young person of any gender who's interested in voting and the history of political action in the United States, it's fresh off the presses, and it's from Chronicle Books. And then the last thing I'll show is, and there I think is at least there are other people participating in Zine Fest too who have Comics and Drawing Power, which is a really, I'm very pleased and honored to be in this amazing anthology, Women's Stories of Sexual Violence, Harassment, and Survival. And we recently won an Eisner Award for Best Anthology of the Year. So if you get a chance, check out one of those books, check out all 3, and please do check my website. I'm going to start updating more with my comics, and also follow me on Instagram. Every time I do something new, I try to keep posting, and it's a wonderful way to share my work and to get to see what other people are doing too. So if you're an artist and you add me on Instagram, I'll be sure to add you back. I can't wait to see the kind of work you're producing. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Oh, there's some things there that I have not seen yet, and I'm really excited to check those out. I am very excited. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Acardellart. Acardellart, which I am probably putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable there. Ah, I see you.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, I'm Alicia, also a Cardellart. This is what my booth is in the before days, before COVID, before quarantine and everything. Just a little bit about myself. I go by she, her, and I'm a Taiwanese queer-based artist in the Bay Area. And today I just wanted to showcase some of the like products and comics that I made recently. I literally finished this last night. So I have this shirt that I made. I'm really excited about like all of these like screen printing projects that I've worked on. And then this mask that I got to make. It's been nice to just make something that could help the public health as well as something that's a useful object. In case you want a cute little doggy on your mask, and it has an adjustable nose thing, and it's got straps. So she thicky, she nice. So, but what I really wanted to show you today was this personal comic that I made. That I think is probably one of the most intimate publications that I've made. And just to, I guess, the intro, just to start off, I kind of just made it whenever I make these comics, these 4-panel comics, whenever I was going through the midst of depression, really dealing with mental illness. And it was like, these were things I would make when I was really in the thick of it. And it was my only way of having an outlet. So I'm gonna read some for you guys. So, scared and abandoned in that long hallway, I saw a 5-year-old version of myself. She had been stuck there for years. I'm trying to take her to a better place. I'm searching in a dark room for that light switch. Sometimes I got it, most times it shuts off again. And, I'll keep trying in hopes of the light staying on. I'm trying to remember not to do anything that makes a temporary feeling permanent, to just keep going. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I cannot accept, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let's see, I'll go with this one. Staying centered with myself, even when I feel so alone, allows me to naturally nurture and attract what's right for me. Instead of seeking what I want, I started to embody what I want. Let's see, and then every time I drive by a place that triggers a deep emotional pain for me, I remind myself that the hurt doesn't have any power over me. So these are just like little like comics. There are 20 in here that I've collected, probably a span of like 2 years of coping with depression and coping with mental illness, which is what a lot of my work talks about. I really not only shine a light on it, but try to connect in ways, in my own way, process and share my own process, personal process of how to deal with trauma, and offer a space for people to heal on their own, on their own pace. And that's been my focus as of late, trying to learn how to break intergenerational trauma. Oh, there's a siren, sorry guys. Trying to learn my own personal trauma to better understand the deeper overarching generational trauma that everyone is experiencing as well. And hopefully my work just offers a reminder to other people, and hopefully myself, to listen deeply to yourself and your own needs and what works best for you. So thank you. I'm not sure if that's 4 minutes.
No, that was perfect. That was really lovely. And I'm always a huge, I mean, the writing is lovely, but I'm also just such a huge admirer of your brushwork. You have the most beautiful brushwork.
Thanks. Yeah, feel free to cop one if you want. I have everything on my site as of late. It's all on Acardellart and acardellart.com, or yeah, this is all my info. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. So thank you.
Looks great. Thank you. Okay, so next up we have Anatomic Air Press, who I don't believe is here presenting. unless I hear otherwise. Okay. So I am going to read the bio that Anatomic Air Press submitted to us. Anatomic Air Press is where Sanoon houses all her creative and storytelling projects, including zines or books, collaborations, websites, random handmade goods, and other quirky things she may come up with. Who is Sanoon? And we have the various links here, anatomicairpress.com, Anatomic Air Press on Instagram, Anatomic Air on Tumblr, Facebook, Patreon, and the donation links. I definitely recommend checking out Anatomic Air Press because you get like a much better view of the stuff that's up there. Sanoon has some really cool stuff here. I'm very into this, like these very tiny airmail letters. The personal letter for my soulmate whom I've never met. And then these lovely vitality jars with these tiny little scrolls. And what's really cool is that if you go to the Atomic Air Patreon, that seems to be the way to get all of these. So if you're interested in these, check out the Anatomic Air Patreon. And let's see, our next exhibitor is DesdeCalifas.
Hi, everyone. My name is Talisley Gallegos. I am the founder of DesdeCalifas, and at the moment, I am tuning in from Tongva territory, which is otherwise known as Los Angeles. So a little bit about DesdeCalifas. We are an art collective and magazine that highlights Black Indigenous people of color with a connection to California. That can mean anything from having grown up here your entire life or spending time here for school, whatever that means to the artist, I want to highlight that. So let's get into this first issue that we launched in late August. So the theme for this one was family relations, and this beautiful cover art was designed by Marisol Lara. And then we got a lot of photography. We got some poetry in here. I'm also really nervous, so if I'm like shaking a little, just keep that in mind. So this first one that I want to show you guys is this beautiful collage that my friend Andrea Flores did. It has a lot of pictures of her family. And, you know, when it comes to the theme family relations, that doesn't just mean blood, you know, that also means chosen family. So I really appreciate her putting that in there because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about that. We also have a poem by Stephanie Vargas. If you guys want to learn or read it at some point, hop on over to our page on Instagram, DesdeCalifas. Then we got Frank Nunez and his family. This is the very first time I've ever talked about this to anyone, so this is a big deal for me. And then we got Regina and their beautiful art. We have photos of their mom, their sister, some poetry by them. And this is my favorite piece of the entire magazine. It's this collage of their mom and them when they were a child in back of a sky flower hummingbird thing, and also a poem by them. Next, we got one of my close friends, Sangia De Oro, and he also designed his own poem and background. So yeah, if you want to read more on it, I really encourage you to buy a copy. I'm printing about 15 copies just for the Zine Fest, and you can DM me through DesdeCalifas on Instagram to purchase your copy. And then we also got William and his amazing art. I really encourage you to follow him if you haven't. He's an amazing photographer who also has his own page that highlights the Latinx diaspora, and it's called Latinx Diaspora on Instagram. And then last but not least, did not forget them, we also have Lena, who's a painter and a digital art maker. Hop on over to their page to follow their amazing art as well. And then we got this cover, this back cover. Marisol Lara, for those of you that can't see this, did a collage of different family members from everybody that follows us on Instagram and people who are in the collective. And then I also made cyanotype prints. And if you don't know what cyanotypes are, it's basically light sensitive chemicals that you can put on paper or cloth, and you can make a photograph with the sun. So it's one of the first, not the first, but one of the first photography processes that have been developed. And I decided to make patches. You can also purchase these on the Instagram page at DesdeCalifas. I'm selling them for about $7 plus shipping. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about this. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Everybody's just talking about how gorgeous the magazine is. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm really proud of this. It took a lot of work, and I'm proud of all of the artists that were involved.
Yeah, you should be. It really does. It looks fantastic. And I you said this is your first time presenting. You did great.
Thank you.
I mean, it helps when you have something that beautiful to show off.
Yeah, I'm happy. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, hit me up on the DesdeCalifas Instagram or my personal page, which is Textli _ that's spelled TEXTLI _. And I'm also a photographer, and I have my own photography page, which is Textli -photos. Yeah, thank you.
Great. All right, next up we have Gaia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gaia WXYZ, or Gaia Weiss. I am recently finishing up a Master's of Fine Arts from California College of the Arts, and I live in Oakland, California. And I am really quickly going to try to read off what I created for my thesis for my MFA in comics with you all. Let's share screen. That's not what I meant. Ugh, so much to do, so little time. Plus, I'm still tired from last night. It's hard to focus when you live that double life. No, triple. I make comics. I work at an indie comic shop, Silver Sprocket, shout out. And I go to all-night raves too. How on earth will I manage all of this? I know. I'll make a to-do list. Woohoo. Where do I begin? Feed the cat, make coffee, eat breakfast, take a shower, do laundry, watch the news, go on social media, try not to panic, click. Call family, existential crisis, eat a snack, see the doctor, do stretches, eat lunch, pay the bills, water plants, procrastinate, clean litter box, wash dishes, notice the time, go to work, ride BART home, space out, sleep, and repeat. Am I forgetting anything? Feels like something's missing. Prr, prr. Got so many ideas for comics, but have tons of other things to do. There's never enough time to work on art. Other shit, art. All I want to do is draw in my studio. Am I really going to spend the whole day doing chores? This house is a mess. Nobody hardly ever cleans anyway. You know what? I can't sit around spiraling in my thoughts all day, even though that's all I feel like doing. It's time to go. But first, let me roll one real quick. Pluck, grind, fill, tuck, lick, roll, twist, done. Now I'm ready to go. Ding. To the studio. When I go to the studio, I don't just walk. I dance there. Blast music in my headphones. Bust moves like no one's watching. Huh? Treat the median like a runway. Dance as hard as I can to Grand Ave. Turn around and dance down Peralta too. Till I reach my studio. Lower Bottoms, Oakland, California. Wow. Huh? Wish I felt as good as you right now. What that person doesn't realize is I'm not doing this because I'm happy. I'm doing this to remind myself that I'm alive, that life is worth living, that I'm lucky to be here now. Beep, beep. Hey, sexy. I'm not dancing in the streets to impress men, or anyone living for that matter. I dance to honor my ancestors and those who lost their lives on this land. Right here in Oakland, too many in my community have become ancestors far too soon. For Antonio, Shalim, Arajo, Alex, Micah, Nex, Donalda, Vero, and Cash, and too many more. Grief for people you don't really know. Sometimes the weight of all this grief feels like carrying a sack full of bricks. Dance walking helps it feel less heavy. Nobody taught me how to mourn strangers. Kind of learning as I go along. That's me. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much. And congratulations on finishing up the MFA program.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Grace.
All right. Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. I am Grace Talice Lee. I prefer no pronouns at all, so please just use my name when you're referring to me. I'm based in San Jose in the South Bay, occupied Ohlone land. And I like to make work that I wish I had seen 3 to 6 months ago. So anything that I made in like 2019, I wish I knew in 2018, for example. So I wanted to show a few of my publications here, starting with Speak Justice Handbook. And this is something that I made after I realized that I used to be a high school teacher, and I was looking around at the school, and the school had this like really amazing, lofty ideal in its mission statement. And I felt like there were all these holes in the actual execution of things. And I really wish that people of different walks of life, and especially different ethnicities and different socioeconomic classes, different genders, could just come together and talk and start building connections and building bridges. And I certainly understand that getting into a room together and talking is not going to be the one thing that solves everything. But I do think after creating Speak Justice workshops where people could do that, and seeing a room of about 10 people of like, these circles represent the hair color of the first group of people who were in my Speak Justice workshops. So like all these different people from different walks of life coming together and just really trying to find understanding and seeing how much that changed people's lives and how much that changed our relationships. And by the end of it, the people were telling me like, where before, when there was conflict in their life, their mind would just turn into fog. Now they could actually face it and start working on dismantling that fog. There's also this book of essays that I wrote. And again, like it's all stuff that I wish I knew 3 months, 6 months, even sometimes like a year earlier. So there are definitely a lot of essays about education because I wrote this when I was a teacher. So like I would see the way that other teachers were dealing with conflict in the classroom, for example, and I wouldn't necessarily agree. So I would write an essay about why I disagreed and what I think should be done instead. There's also a lot of essays here about feminism and what I would like to see for our society. There's also essays in here about how I dealt with sexual assault and how I healed from that, and essays about how I found the love of my life, my soulmate, and how we also had to overcome a lot of obstacles in order to have this really beautiful relationship. When I'm not writing about serious stuff like that, I also like to draw just fun illustrations and comics. So this one's called First Year Teacher. It's about my first year as a full-time high school teacher. And it just goes from, like, for example, day one, in the first panel, there's like 4 little students and they're just like, teach us. And then me, the adult, is like, okay. And then there's a little close up, a medium shot of me just kind of like grinning, trying my best. And then a close up of me with like bloodshot eyeballs and sweat drops dancing off my body. I also got mistaken for a student when I was there, and all kinds of fun stuff. And then last is drawings about love. And these are just drawings that I found healing to draw and drawings that I find healing to see. So for example, just this person giving themselves a hug, and it says, practice unconditional self-love. And that's my 4 minutes.
You were harder on yourself than I would have been. I actually picked up First Year Teacher at EBAPS a couple of years ago, and I really loved it. It's really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Julie.
Hi, my name is Julie Gieseke. Pronouns are she, her. I live in San Francisco, and this is my first Zine Fest. Super excited. I am a writer and a performer. I write and perform autobiographical stories. And then for my job, I draw on the wall in business meetings. And in this last year, I decided to combine those 2 things. So my most recent show will be No Wonder, where I'm going to draw and perform at the same time. You can find out more about that on my website, which is up there. So I have started making zines just a couple years ago. I did a couple of these, smaller format size ones here. You can see a lot of that on Instagram. And then during the pandemic, I started making these tiny little zines about things I was experiencing, like this trail guide to the pandemic, some things that are good to bring along with you. I also made a little zine about things that I pretend to not eat, like the share size of peanut M&Ms. I also made a zine about how to date on Zoom, since that's the only way to date lately. And then I started working with cardboard because everything seems to come in a box, and I had all this cardboard. So these zines are, kind of like one-offs, obviously not particularly replicable, but this one is based on a piece of advice that my mother gave me about being in relationships, which is there are worse things than being alone. And so in here I have little examples of things that I've experienced in relationships that I think are probably worse than being alone, like pretending to lose at Scrabble. That was not really a great relationship. It's all drawn on cardboard with colored pencil. We have another little bit here about snoring, yours and theirs. I had a girlfriend that recorded me snoring once. That wasn't so pleasant. But in celebration of this opportunity to be here on Zoom with you, I thought I needed to make something bigger. So I made this giant zine out of cardboard. My friend ordered a trampoline. It came in a huge box. So she gave me the box and I thought, what could I make with it? So I made this gigantic zine. It's 12 inches by 12 inches and probably like 3.5 inches thick. And I thought, well, what should it be about? And it's sort of the size of a record cover. So I decided I'd make it about records that I used to blast on the stereo. So there's my stereo from high school. And I got the very first record I ever bought, which was Captain and Tennille's Love Will Keep Us Together. Each page is a different record cover and a little bit story about that. So anyways, I'm super thrilled to be here. I've already learned so much from the presenters today and the presenters last week. I'm already rethinking about how I want to do some of my zines, but I would love it if you are interested in seeing my show right here. This is a cardboard cutout version of me working on some ways in which I'm going to be doing real-time drawing while I'm performing and telling a story. I have videos up on YouTube if you want to see my performances. And I'm kind of referring to this new show called No Wonder as a live zine. So it's an experiment. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to make all of that work, but it will be shot in 5 episodes on video that will be released a little bit later this year. So the story, just real quick, is personal story about myself as a 53-year-old Gold Star lesbian, meaning I've never had sex with a man, and I thought, why not? I should try it. So I hired a male sex surrogate, and this show, No Wonder, is about my experience of working with that surrogate and all of that. So thank you so much for having me at the San Francisco Zine Fest. It's been a pleasure so far.
Wow, what a way to splash in. well, welcome to Zine Fest life.
Thank you.
I want to check out that show. Okay. Next up we have Maria.
Hello, my name is Maria, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Berkeley, California, but right now I'm in Somerville, Massachusetts, starting my last year of college. And I think the first zine I want to share today is called Island. It is about Chinese immigrants to the US in the early 1900s who were detained on Angel Island before being allowed to California and the rest of the US. And they wrote poems which were translated in a book that I photocopied and cut up. And the poems were carved into the wooden walls of the barracks where they were detained. So I, inspired by the translations, I translated the poems to drawings. And also some of the interviews that they did of the people who were detained. And then the second zine I have digitally show, so I'll share my screen. And this one I made in March and April of this year. It's called Sorting Through. And it's about my experiences during the beginning of this pandemic, journal writings and drawings and photos. And it's also interactive. So there's a lot of blank spaces where people can draw and write their own memories and experiences. So I'll just flip through that. I really wanted to connect with friends despite being across the country from a lot of them and not being able to experience life visually together. So I drew. And then I'll just skip to the end and read the last page. Why make this zine? It's hard to stay connected with people when it frequently requires staring into a computer. Here I am on my sleeping laptop screen. The sun is setting outside our west-facing windows. April 15th, 2020, 3:06 p.m. Pacific time. I think what is motivating me to do this is a need to communicate visually, tangibly, especially when words don't seem to do the job. I miss not being in the same visual landscape as people I'm talking to, and I want to tie together the things I'm making and seeing with the visceral feelings I try to write about. Here, have this zine. Maybe sharing what we see and feel will make it less lonely. And then the last thing I'll share is sort of a zine, sort of an artist book. It's circular, and I drew a banquet table with a lot of foods that my family likes to eat and share, and we always order too much food. And then everyone's hands are around the table. Sorry, the lighting's kind of bad. But it folds up into a triangle. Yeah, so if you want to see more of my work, I'm on Instagram at Maria Fongtastic, and that also has a link to my animations on Vimeo, which is another part of my work. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Those are so lovely. And I love that we're seeing such unusual zines today. That's so cool. I was going to ask you about the animation if you didn't mention the animation, because I did notice that Vimeo link and I was kind of excited about that. Okay, so next up we have Summer Lee, who will not be, who's not here to present. So I will read what Summer Lee has provided for us. So Summer Lee writes, I'm a visual artist / designer based in Oakland. My work investigates the messiness and nuances of our internal lives, diving deep into my own personal history as a necessity, but also to build connection with and create space for anyone who wants to consider the undercurrents of their own lives and of the human condition. I have previously shown my work at local zine fests and group exhibitions. And I recommend going to summerlee.com. That's SUMMERLI.com, where Summer has this zine, Old Gold Mountain, with this lovely drawing of the mountains of rice in the ceramic bowl, because you can read the zine online, and it's a collection of stories from Asian Americans living in the San Francisco Bay Area. Well, actually, San Francisco Bay Area native Asian Americans. And I just started reading it. It's really fun and lovely, and I would recommend checking it out. So next up, we have Tyler.
Hey, everyone. Good to see you all ish. So well, this is my book, Primahood Magenta. It is kind of the first 10 years about parenting, raising a child in this gendered, racialized world, with a lot of queries generally into what is female in the first place. I'd like to play with autobiography and surrealism. I also have a story in Drawing Power, which won the Eisner Award this year. Very proud of that one. I'm really proud to be a part of that. Since then, my stories have mostly been political. I've gathered a lot of them into this comic, which is a lot of the political comics since Trump was elected, as well as, again, some of the surrealist pieces. Here's an example where just trying to express that feeling of frozenness and having trouble communicating with others. And also the kind of numbing that happens. I recently finished a story that which is great because I've been pretty frozen in during these Trump years. Like I said, it's mostly been political comics. This one I call Mothership, and this is brings us into the pandemic, which good times. I'll read a few pages. Danger, full alert. Okay, team, this is what we're going to do. Navigation, find the nearest asteroid field. We're hunkering down. And then to the offspring. Have you checked in with school? I forgot. I've reminded you 3 times now, but you still haven't eaten your protein tubes. I'll get to it. And it's been days since you exercised. I'll get to it. Slam. In space, you can still hear your teen slam their door. It goes on from there, 6 pages. Let's see. That's about it. Like to, again, mix of autobiography, mix of surrealism. I'm working on something long-term that I'm not ready to share, but most of that's it. What else? I don't have anything else to say. I'm on Instagram. You can message me there, follow me there. A lot of what I've been putting up lately has been diary comics and a bunch of abstract comics, because I found myself pretty wordless on some days. And so I've been working with, again, kind of surreal content and dream content. Yeah, wish you the best. Wish you community. Wish you health. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Tyler. I miss you, Tyler.
I miss you all. I wish we could be in that big hall talking, connecting.
I know. But I'm glad we at least get a little bit of time with everybody in this time, these strange times.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that will close us up for today. I am going to share my screen one more time. Let's see. All right. And one more time, these are links for everybody that we saw today. If anybody wants to take a screenshot, although we'll also be posting everything in the video descriptions as well. Links to everybody's Instagrams and Venmo. If there's anything that you want to make sure that we include, just let us know and we will be sure to update that. Looking forward in Cyberfest, coming up, we have show and tells for the next 2 evenings. We have Group I tomorrow from 6 to 7, Group J on Thursday from 6 to 7. On Friday, we'll be having our Thinking Captions reading, which is curated by our guest of honor for this week, Death P. Sun. That will be starting at 5 o'clock. On Saturday, we have a Riso demo, if you want to learn more about risograph printing with Shoot Studio. And at 2 o'clock, I will be hosting kid-friendly drawing games, family-friendly drawing games. If anybody wants to join me, let me know. I am definitely looking for people to join me for that. On Sunday, we will have another show and tell. That'll be with Group K from 2 to 3 p.m. We will have a panel with parent artists from 2 to 4 p.m., which may include somebody who's on this panel. And we will be having a Q&A with our third week guest of honor, Tana Tucker, which you definitely don't want to miss. And that'll be from 4 to 5 p.m. Go to the SF Zine Fest store to buy Cyberfest merch. We have revealed the week 2 poster by Death P. Sun. He's got that great cat poster, that great cat sticker. Also, Alex Combs's merch from week 1 is up there with Alex's poster and sticker. And this weekend, we will be revealing Tana's merch. So stay tuned for that. And that is it for tonight. Thank you everybody so much for joining us for Cyberfest. And just remember, if you didn't catch anything live, we have all of the videos archived on Facebook and YouTube. And we hope that everybody is safe and healthy during this